sure everyone has known what's going on in the Capitol of people. Like, basically, you have white nationalist, Confederate flag people. I imagine some people are just Trumpists who, like, are, like, just misguided or something. But they stormed the Capitol. And basically are trying to overturn the results of the election. I mean, that's what's going on there. Shortly after Trump has given a speech, I'm trying to stay calm. Okay, I'm trying to stay calm right now because I don't want to be like, I don't want to go off. I don't want to go to a 10 yet. Okay, but basically, like, Trump has made a speech prior talking about how he wants to march down the Pennsylvania Avenue, and how he loves Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're going to help try and basically overturn the election. When it comes to who is to blame for this, I mean, one person has died, or I think 3 people have died so far, as what we know. I know one person died, maybe the 2 other people were shot and something happened. But, like, I know that 3 people were at least shot or harmed greatly. When it comes to, like, who I blame for this, like, because I already know, I can already hear, like, conservative demagogues talking about, like, why are people blaming Trump for this? Because this is what we need to, like, this is, like, if anything, this moment should be the moment where we realize that we have to hold the president accountable to his words. Throughout the whole presidency, this whole 4 years, people have been basically excusing Trump for all of the dumb shit he's saying by, well, he's not really the spokesperson, he doesn't really speak well. Yeah, he doesn't say things in the best way, but you know what he means. He's not literally a fascist. Come on. Like, we've been told repeatedly. It's like the people who were supporting Trump back in the day didn't actually believe that Trump meant what he said, that he was just saying shit. Doesn't really matter. I'm gonna make a case, like a very quick case, that yes, Trump is at a very huge has very huge culpability in this. Not only him, but also the Republican, Republican politicians who did not try to prevent this from happening, or try to who encouraged on and egged on the president, who just fell in line whenever Trump even looked at them. Like, the thing is, like, people have said this before, but Trump really isn't like a Republican really as much as he is a politician that he wants to be. He attacks the Republican Party if they goes against him. So this is half of me, this argument, this case, half of me is extending an olive branch. Half of me is condemning the lack of discernment that Republicans are having right now. Imagine for a second to understand why Trump is culpable in this, and why him talking about, like, even the fact that he just called, or he's trying to rein in all of the white nationalists and all of the, like, or his supporters. I imagine maybe not all of them are. Let's just be charitable for a second and say not all of them are white supremacists or white nationalists. Let's just say that some of them are just supporters. I think a fair amount of them are white supremacists, or at least white supremacist enablers, especially when you have a noose that is set up. Well, I think, yeah, there's a picture of a noose hanging, like, right outside the Capitol. No one's doing anything about it, and a Confederate flag flying in the Capitol, which, if you don't, that's a topic for another day. Let's imagine for a moment that Trump got away with this coup. not today, not that or yesterday, but a few weeks back, like weeks back, when he called for a significant amount of votes to be thrown out. Let's just say the Supreme Court, the Senate, everyone says yes. Let's stop counting votes. Let's just say Trump seceded and he stopped the election. Meaning he stopped my votes. And this is, I'm sorry that, this is the reality that we're living in. Let's just say, like, he threw my votes away, is essentially what he would be doing. If he got away with trying to throw votes away in Michigan, which like is the state that I live in, and throwing votes away in Pennsylvania, if he got away with that, what is actually would actually be happening is that he would be throwing my votes away as an American. He's throwing Democratic votes away because he doesn't like the results. That is essentially what he's doing, destroying democracy. If we were in this position right now in January, where they counted the votes anyway and found out that there is a lead for Joe Biden, but they're not counting that because the Supreme Court decided that those votes weren't legit. The truth of the matter is that my vote, like the American people's votes, are not being counted. They're not being. This is not a democracy. This is basically Trump creating being able to throw out votes whenever he wants to, so that he can become president. It would no longer be a democracy. If that succeeded, then right now, as we're speaking, Democrats, and for good reason, I'm sorry, I don't know if this is controversial, but Democrats would be storming the Capitol right now if Trump was successful in throwing our votes away to remain president for another 4 years. So, interference with the election on that scale, where you're stealing the election, is a legit grievance. Not only is it a legit grievance, but if our institutions fail us and we march the Capitol and we riot, I think that would be a justified response. So, the problem that we're having right now is that Trump is telling everyone of his supporters, that yeah, the election is rigged, it's fraud, and they stole the election from us. That is his narrative constantly. And so like the anger that you feel, if you're a Democrat, the anger that you feel of like Trump stealing the election, throwing your votes out, and doing another 4 years, that's the anger that a lot of conservatives feel. Only that it's fake, because Trump is making this shit up. Because there is no fraud. Even Republicans have said there is no fraud. So when Trump goes on TV and he says, "Okay, listen, I like the whole we all seen. I think most of us has probably seen that video when he goes on TV and he says, yeah, like listen, I know that this is a terrible history, moment in history. We've never seen anything like this. This whole election is a fraud. I did actually win and everything. I know, but please be peaceful." Why after you've told them the same lie? I don't even know if Trump actually believes this, by the way. I'm willing to bet that like his administration, at least I would be willing to bet that he doesn't believe this and he is actually trying to steal the election. If he knows that he is lying, I think he should be criminally charged at this point. But the problem is, like, he's basically saying that, yeah, there is treason going on in the American capital, and don't do anything violent, be peaceful, let's just kind of like ignore this. You wouldn't expect anyone else to ignore this, so why would you be trying to keep the peace now when you've told people that there is a serious monumental thing that's occurring in history where it's like it's kind of a fucking big deal. You can't just steal elections. If our institutions fail us, what else are we supposed to do? And so this is why this is why the narrative that like Trump is spewing is not just like a game of baseball, you know? It's not like you're playing baseball and you're like, oh well, he cheated, and it's like not a big deal. Like where it's like looked down upon, like if you cheat, it's looked down upon, but it's not like that big of a deal. Um, if you cheated, whatever. This is like democracy. This is like actually one of the foundations of America that people are bringing into question here. So, yeah, that is how Trump is harming. Because if like consider for a second that Trump is wrong. Okay, for everyone who's still, I'm not even gonna try to like convince Trump supporters about this, but consider for 1 second that Trump is wrong about the election results and that he doesn't win, and yet he is like, do you see like how serious a claim this is? This is not just oh the Democrats are dishonorable or they're doing plain dirty tactics. This is actually horrible, bad, right? And I think we've maybe gotten with the whole Russian thing about like how the Russians interfered with our election. Maybe we're getting a little bit soft, like we're getting desensitized on how serious that is. Maybe I would assume that we are. But for people who kind of wake up, like open their eyes and seeing what this means, it is bad. It is worth the riot. So the problem is that it's not true. Like it's just not true. Like the whole election fraud is not true, and yet Trump is causing all this. And not only that, but the Republicans, who have egged Trump on and who's kind of like playing this game. So that's mostly it. And I think this is nothing short of, I think this is kind of what happens when you have like for 4 years you make a space. Like it's kind of like when you convince that most of the things that you see on the news or everything that disagrees with your Trump or your choice of president is fake news. You get to, like, Trump gets to create his own news, right? Like if you throw around a term fake news and you attack the news media for 4 years, and then and now all of your supporters or most of your supporters don't even believe the media anymore, you can literally just make your own news, that any news that you want to, and they will believe it because, well, you're the one fighting against like the news media and everything. Like it falls within the narrative that we've been seeing for 4 years. And now we have two different realities that people are living in. One people are living in reality, and of course, I think my reality is the real one. Of course. But there's a reality that, yeah, we actually did win the election, and then there's the reality that Trumps and Trumpists are actually believing that there is like a serious fraudulent votes. Like there are votes that are like not being counted by Trump supporters and everything. And yeah, people don't realize how big of a deal this is, and like how big of a claim he's making. They don't know the magnitude of it. Like the regular Trump supporters who say, "Oh well, I don't think you can blame Trump for this. It's just like dumb Trump support." Like no, if anything, they have the right to kind of do that. Like not all riots, protests, whatever, but mostly riots are like bad, especially if you have a corrupt system or government, which would be the case if we were having fraudulent elections like this. But I don't know. I don't think this. I think we're gonna be fine, just fine. We're not gonna be great after this, but fuck.